Okay then folks, welcome back. We're going to get cracking on with this next step. I've got myself here an old piece of the window frame and I'm going to use that as my straight edge. So we've got to get on with clamping that in position and then mixing up some cement to fill the gap. But before we do that, I'm just going to get a bit of sandpaper. This is 80 grit, so it's quite aggressive. And we're just going to clean off these bits here that could adhere to the new stuff. Right then, so we're just going to mix up a little bit of cement to fill in the gap. What we've got here is my bucket of cement. Then here we've got, it's like a very fine sand mixed in with a sharp sand. It's kind of like a strange mix they've got over here, but it produces a really good, nice, fine cement that's easy to work with, and leaves a really good, fairly smooth finish. The cement I use is actually really strong and cures really hard, so we don't actually need a lot. Typically I do 6-to-1 or sometimes even 8-to-1 depending. I think I'll go 6-to-1 just so there's a bit of extra strength there for when the boy is fitting up the windows and drilling into the wall. You can see how dark it is in the mix, which sort of shows how strong the cement is. It's really intense grey colour. So I'm actually going to chuck a bit more in. Okay, cool. So that's looking like a much nicer colour now. So it's ready to use. Before we get going, I'm just going to wet everything. By wetting the old cement, it just means that it doesn't draw the moisture out of the new cement so quickly, which may, lend towards cracking. Maybe not, but still good practice. Just working it down into all the gaps as best we can. Okay, so we're pretty much finished there now. So I'm just going to wet the back of the trowel and just smooth it out as best I can. Try and get rid of any lumps and stuff. Okay, now that's finished, just going to have a bit of a tidy up with the sponge, just along the wood and along the window ledge. I'm going to let that go off overnight, and then we can check it out in the morning and see if it's worth carrying on the process or if we have to modify. I've cleaned off the wood here so that it should be easier to remove once it's gone off. Areas here that you can see, there wasn't enough gap really to get a good layer of cement there. So these gaps will be filled with the top coat, which will go on obviously before the window goes in. Okay, next day. So we're going to whip these clamps off and have a look, see how it's looking. Okay, so there we go. So we can just have a look here. It's filled in quite well. It's gone all the way down, left no major gaps, which looks pretty good all the way along. And the edge is good as well. So all in all, not bad really. So now we're all wrapped up with that. We're going to move on to the side here. It's not quite long enough, so we're going to use this piece of aluminium as the straight edge this time. Same again, we're just going to clamp it in position. Okay, so we can mix up some more cement. Get it whacked in the hole. Okay, we've got our cement mixed up. So we're going to wet in here and get to whacking it in there. It's quite deep and we're dealing with gravity, so I think we might have to do it in a couple of attempts. So now you can probably see we've got the bulk of it filled in and it's all sort of coming outwards. You know, here's flush, but here's not. So we're just going to wait now for this to go off a little bit, and then we're going to come in and we're going to try and level it off and tidy it up. Now it's gone off a little bit, we're just going to come in with a trowel, put it across like that and just get rid of the excess and try and get it flush. Okay, there's still a few gaps here and there, but as it goes off, we should be able to come back in and just do a little bit of work just to tidy it up. Nice and gently. We don't want it all to fall off. We're going to go a little bit more than we need, and then we'll remove the excess afterwards. Okay, so that's pretty much everything filled in there for now. We're going to let that go off for a little bit, and then we're going to come back in, try and get it all nice and flush, maybe a bit of sponge action if we need to. But for now, we're going to let it go off. The more we play with it, the more chance it'll all fall out. So for now, we're just going to chill. What we're going to do now is we're going to tidy up the wall here with the sponge and have a go tidying up a little bit the aluminium, but not too much though. And then we'll give a little bit of troweling, wet troweling, just to get this a bit smoother. Okay, that's us pretty much done. A bit of a tidy up. Okay, cool. So we're just going to leave that to go off again. Okay, so it's been a while now, so we're ready to take this off. So again, this surface looks pretty good. The edge is also pretty good, all the way down. And here's also pretty good as well. So all in all, not bad really. So on this side, as you can probably see here, this new cement is actually sitting further out than the wall. This is because actually the wall isn't very straight. It goes in a little bit like that. We'll compensate for this when we put the fine coat on. So when we put the fine coat on, we're going to come over like this, and this will help sort of feather this in and keep it looking straight, and you probably won't be able to tell once the fine coat's on. Right, so we're going to move on to the other side now. Okay, so before we wrap it up for today, this is at about an hour or so, so we're going to whip it off and have a look. So again, quite a nice finish in here, nice straight edge as well, all the way up to the top there. This area here again, this will get filled across with the final coat, which will fill in these low points. All in all, not bad really. While we're waiting for that to go off, we're going to have a go at getting this level with the ledge here. We're not far away there. We're going to try and actually avoid having to cement it in if we can by being accurate with the grinder. Maybe just touching it up with the final finished coat if we have to. Yeah, so I think we'll start this end because we're almost there, and we'll just mark it, try and keep it level as we go. Burn the grinder out. Stinks. Well, it wasn't a good one anyway. You can see there's the ledge. So we're trying to bring it down just 5 mil or so below the ledge. And we're getting there. We're not going to need to do any cement in here. We're just going to do the final finish coat on the top. We just need to go and get a new grinder first. Next day again, got a new grinder. But first of all, I'm going to have a crack at this bit here. Gravity is obviously an issue. So what I'm thinking of is getting a bit of the old pallet wood, cutting it down to size, getting it fitted up, getting some sort of system underneath to sort of prop it up in place, something like that. So I'm going to play around with a few ideas and see which works best. $104, $72. Good fit. Right, so what I've opted to do is to get this set up like so, and then just use the jack, the car jack, just to hold it in place. I've put a bit of wood under the jack just to help support it. Now it's just a matter of getting in the right position. Okay, not bad. I've changed out this bit of pallet wood. I didn't like this curve. Fortunately, it just wasn't sitting very square and just didn't look very good. So I've switched it out for a bit of old pine off an old bed frame, which is a lot straighter. And we've got that jacked in place, so it's rock solid. We're going to mix up some cement. We're going to bosh it in there, and then try and get it finished. It's all pretty flush. So that's what we're going to do next. Just going to use a screwdriver just to push it in all the way to the back. Okay, so we've got it more or less bonded to the top, more or less bonded to the bottom. If we try and fill this in at this stage, it's just sticks to the top and drags it back down again. So what I'm going to do is just leave it to go off and then come back in again to fill in the gaps. But for now, it's looking pretty good, so I don't want to touch it. I just want to let it go off. So it's been about an hour or so. So we're just going to try and fill in this remaining bit here. So that's pretty much that. We'll leave it to go off again for a little bit, half an hour or so, and then we'll come in with a sponge and have a bit of a tidy up. Right, that's it, pretty much tidied up. We're going to leave that to go off overnight because It's grim outside and I've had enough. Right then, this has had a good few hours now to go off. So we're going to release the jack and see how it's panned out. She's coming. Okay. There we go. Okay, you can probably see that now. It's pretty good. Nice straight edge, which is cool. It's also pretty flush in here as well. Right, that's it pretty much finished, at least this stage. We've just got to put the final coat on, the top coat on, which will be a white colour, and that's what we'll be doing next. But we're going to leave that again another 24 hours at least, just to make sure it's absolutely rock solid before we move on to the final stage.